So welcome to my new channel. If you've been following me before, you've probably seen me on my Growlin Rooster Ranch channel. And that channel is based on me and the kids doing things together, building, exploring, and doing stuff around the farm, and just things you can do with your kids. This channel is different. This channel is just going to be all me, raw me, talking to you about things I like to do. And we're going to do some adventuring. I'm a huge motorcycle buff. I love anything with two wheels. And if you don't have two wheels, you don't know freedom. And as a retired first responder who's medically retired from PTSD, two wheels is the way you empty your brain so that you don't have to think about the world anymore. And that happens for a lot of people I know, with ATVs, dirt bikes like these, motorcycles, and other activities, exercising. That's how you empty your brain. But my true passion is the motorcycle. I was a motorcycle operator for the Royal Canadian Mounted Police in my final years working for them. I truly love that. That's the highlight of my career, was driving Harleys for the force. It really is. There's nothing better to me, despite all the other things I did that were much more important than that. That was the highlight of my career. It also gave me a unique perspective on riding, and the fact there's a need for more information. There's a need for more stuff to be done about skill sets, awareness, safety, and there's just a general lack of understanding what you can do with the minimal equipment that you have available to you. For $800, you can go buy yourself a motorcycle and have yourself adventures that are equal to that of a $30,000, $40,000 machine or higher, just because they have two wheels. And you don't need to have the best gear available. Now, when it comes to safety gear, I like to invest deeply into safety gear because that's what's going to keep you alive and so you can survive. But when it comes to emptying your brain and getting out and do something that you love, if you haven't tried two wheels, you should at least try it. If not on a dirt bike, take a course, do something like that, because it's really something that has helped me. You'll notice I mentioned PTSD because that is what ended my career. I suffer from a moderate level of depression and post-traumatic stress. I have several factors that cause me to react and spiral, and it's something that I'm not always in control of, but I'm learning about it enough to recognize it so I can intervene and hopefully slow it down, if not prevent it from getting out of control to the point where I can't sleep or I can't think or breathe and all that stuff, and have panic attacks and things like that. Over the years, there's been so much that's accumulated that the advice I was given whenever I was going through training almost, 17, 18 years ago, was to hang my problems on an imaginary tree outside my door and then go inside and treat everyone just like the family you love. What they left out was what happens when the branches are full, hey? And when the branches are full, what do you do? And I couldn't explain to you what happened, but at the time, but I started internalizing everything, and everything went inside of me. And so I was looking for all these different avenues and all these different things to do in order to satisfy those needs, in order for me to carry on with treating everyone inside the same. As it turns out, that when you do that, you actually don't treat everyone the same. You end up having these voids of time where your attitude and your temperament and your patience and your caring and affection. I was looking at emails that I wrote 20 years ago that have the same feelings in them that I share today, but the words that I used were so flagrant, flamboyant, and so much more colorful and interesting back then. Today I want to know that guy. I like that guy. I still don't like the guy I am today in comparison. And that's what I think a lot of people are missing out on. It's really hard to make friends. It's really hard to keep friends after you've gone through a career like this. It's really hard. Social behavior is almost impossible to take on. And I think a lot of you will understand that. You don't have to be a first responder. You don't have to be a military, paramedic, firefighter, nurse, doctor. You don't have to be any of these people in order to suffer this. All you have to do is suffer a traumatic experience, and it can rock your boat to the core. So I've had I don't know, enough of the traumatic experiences to know that my boat's been rocked, and this channel is about me going out, interacting with people. It's forcing me to get out and do stuff that I normally wouldn't do, that I love to do, and share it with you, and you can see how I react and how I interact with people. Generally, I'm a very kind person. I don't have all of the negativity anymore that I had whenever I was having to interact with people. I don't have all the suspicions. Part of that comes from being a police officer. Whenever you're in the position you're in, you think that everyone's out to hurt you. And now that I'm not that, I don't think that, because I no longer carry all the weight of that responsibility. What I do think is that everyone is still suffering, and including myself, and I can still interact in a positive way without having that initial negative affront, and be out in the world and see people and affect people in a very positive way. Because I haven't died yet, and even though we're all going to, it's not something that has to die within you, and you don't have to stop wanting to help others. So if you are suffering in this way, if you're losing sleep, if you're getting sweaty palms for no reason, if you're having a hard time breathing at different times for no reason, if you are suffering inside, if you find you're snapping and yelling at the people you love for no reason, and you think you have every reason to, but it's just like over spilt milk, there's no harm in having a conversation and just being open and honest, saying, listen, there's something wrong with me, and I apologize, I'm sorry, but I don't know what to do. And then that's where to start. That's where I had to start, and it's a tough go, and it's still a tough go. It's learning about something new that you thought you were immune to, because that's what first responders are built to. You're immune to the pain, you can suffer through it, take care of yourself first so you can save everybody else. And you weren't given the tools to identify it happening in you, and who would? If you can put on weight without noticing, you can put on weight in your brain without noticing too. And it's even easier to do that. You can carry the burdens of your family, your history, all through it. I was very lucky. I came, when growing up, we were actually quite poor. I was a child of divorce. My father made somewhere around like $400 a week, and like if I was asking for a new pair of shoes, it cost like a week's wages. And my brother and I both lived with my father in our grandfather's house. So growing up, we had a very modest living. And by the time I was 15, I decided what I wanted to do. And by the time I was 16, I think it was, by the time I was 19 or 20, my father had actually got into the policing academy, and then I went in a year after him. So he was a senior entry, and I was a junior entry, and he went in as a mature man, and I went in as a young adult, and we had two very different careers, and those careers took us in two very different aspects of our lives. And then my brother later got in years later, and like 10 years later, and he's still actively serving. So within our whole family, we took ourselves out of really poverty, and we entered into a career that gave us the financial means and ability to buy houses, which is unheard of in our families, and to be able to sustain ourselves, and to be able to take care of our families, and buy new vehicles, and do all these different things that we would always struggle to do just to make ends meet. We'd have like run from goal to goal to goal. And over the years, it can be very easy to get outside of yourself and try and fall into the trap of having the nicest, newest thing. And I personally never owned a new vehicle. I could never bring myself to do it and spend that kind of money. And I cry at some of the money that I have spent even, because I just find it's outrageous, even though it's, by today's standards, it's not. It's just like, when you tell someone they used to be able to buy a car for $12,000, they're like, that's impossible. No, it's honest to God truth, and you could. Like, there was a Chevy Swift or something like that you could buy for $12,000 in 2000. So it's not impossible. As things change, so do we. Mental health stuff is widely accessible now compared to back then, but my struggle with it has been harder to deal with than any magazine or any talk or any YouTube video could ever explain. And that's the point, is that what I am doing with you guys in this channel is having a good time. I'm doing what I love. Hopefully you love it too. And we're gonna have some therapy together, and I'm gonna show you how I take something I love and turn it into something that makes new memories, that fosters positive relationships with you, your family, and yourself. And we're going to do a little bit of diving into history. We're going to see some cool things around here that you wouldn't normally expect. Canada is not the oldest place in the world for colonial history. 150 years of Confederation, plus or minus. Doesn't really lend itself to deep historical roots, despite the fact we call them deep history. We're going to try and we can go back even further. We have native history here, which is things like Glooskap and the caves that he lives in. We have modern history, such as pieces of the Berlin Wall here. We have other sites of marvels of engineering, and we have huge natural resource history here, because typically the Maritimes is a logging and a fishing community culture. So we had the ability to historically ship things out easily, because we had some very good harbors here, and we had a huge wood industry, and we had a massive fishing industry. So we're going to do these adventures in a bunch of different things. I'm going to use a lot of the motorcycle, because that's how I empty my head personally. And we're going to go out and just see the world as it is. And hopefully you enjoy the new equipment, the new videos, the new gear, the new music, and the new monologue that goes with it, because it's going to be raw, and I'm going to tell you exactly how I see it happening. And boy, this shit's going to be fun. All right, guys. See ya. I can start doing some reviews as well, because if you haven't noticed, there's more than a few motorcycles around for us to talk about. If you're into kids bikes, we can talk about all the different ones that are here, their advantages, their disadvantages, and one of the big things that I'm running into is the seat heights and the power ratio sizes for picking kids bikes. This is one of the things that a lot of the channels don't pick up on, especially for user friendliness. So maybe we can talk about that in the future. If you're interested in that, let me know, and we can do some reviews on all these different motorcycles that I currently have in house, and then maybe we can get some more motorcycles if you guys want me to do reviews on those, if you like what I do. Now, outside the obvious upgrade of a new motorcycle on the way, not brand new, but new to me, I've made this upgrade. This is a Climb Chaos Pro with a chin mount attached to it, so that I can run the GoPro. I've run a mic up inside so that I can talk to you guys. Now, I tried on a lot of helmets before buying this one. I actually wanted an area helmet, but they're very hard to get where I'm at. And this one here had a similar fit and finish. One of the big components that I was looking for was the carbon fiber. I want something that is super strong and really light. And it turns out that this helmet is almost the lightest helmet on the market right now. It's 0.8 pounds lighter than everything else that I compared it to on the books. When you're adding a chin mount or GoPro to the front of it that weighs something around 400 grams, that makes it still lighter than most other helmets on the market, even with all the extra attached gear. And when you're going to go for a ride for a long time, you probably want to factor in weight. Weight on a motorcycle is quite important, especially the higher up it is, the more effect it has on you. And in this case, it's going to affect your neck. So we have to take that in regard. It's a very pretty helmet though. I've had it on several times, and I'm looking forward to doing longer rides with it whenever I get into the position to be able to do that. But the reason I bought this one was it comes with a windscreen, a windshield that actually auto darkens in the sunlight, and you can remove all these components to do different types of riding. It's great for dual purpose, it's great for dirt bike, it's great for on the street, and the only complaint I have so far is that it actually scratches real easy. So other than that, I have to factor that into the budget for buying some extra ones. Other than that, it's amazing. And if only you could feel how light it is, it's a game changer. It's almost as light as my hat and my head. The Climb Chaos Pro, not sponsored, of course, because I'm a nobody and I'm an average rider. Oh, is that true though? Maybe. I mean, average rider, yes, but I do have professional training. So all those cone courses that you see the police officers doing, I have gone through extensive training in order to be able to operate a motorcycle in an emergency environment, and that requires an advanced skill set. It's not a racing skill set, I guess, but I can drive slower than anyone else that I know. I don't know. What do you guys think? Does that count? Maybe, maybe not. But I don't think it counts. It's just I always used to enjoy taking the police bike into parking lots and talking to people about it, and you'd have others that were similar minded, and they would come up to you and we would have great conversations. They'd all have their bikes, and they're beautiful bikes, great big bikes, just like the Harleys that I was driving, and we would talk about the skills that you have to have in order to be a police officer. They would ask me what I had to do, and I would share a little bit of it, and it's easy to find out. If you guys go online, you can look at all the cones courses. The cones courses that you're seeing are actually part of the qualifications to be able to operate those bikes. It looks like a competition. Yeah, we do it for time, and you do it for the glory of it all, but it's actually what you have to do in order to be allowed to ride the bike. So they made it fun, and they made it a competition. And some of the guys that can ride those bikes can do it so fast, and it's second nature to them, and it was amazing. I did those cone courses and successfully completed and passed, and I didn't have any issues with them at all. However, a lot of people do, and you can practice these skills inside of the parking lot anywhere without having cones at all. And one of the tests that I explain to people, if you want to know how to do it, you got to pick a parking space beside each other, and that parking space has side by each, and they have a line here, a line here, and a line in the middle, meaning that's a parking space and a parking space. If you go and you line up in the front of those parking spaces with the center line at your front tire, you have to take your motorcycle, go into those parking spaces in between the lines, and turn your motorcycle around inside those parking spaces and come back out the same center line that you went in without going out over the edges. I could probably do it in 2.5 now, right now. With some practice, I could get back into within just 2 parking spaces. Not European parking spaces either, North American parking spaces. European parking spaces are this big because they don't have mid-sized vehicles over there like we do here. Trust me, I know, I've been there. So yeah, that's one of the skill sets. Riding as slow as you can, look up Iron Cross, a bunch of different stuff. Get yourself a good helmet. You don't have to get this one. Get yourself a good helmet though, something that's good to handle on your heads. Keep in mind that if you're in a forward riding position, your head's going to be up, and you're going to be required to hold your chin up and hold that weight up towards the back of your neck. You shouldn't feel any pressure on the back of your neck whenever you're riding with a helmet on. Make sure you have all your SNEL or DOT approvals on the helmet, consistent with your area, and that's for your safety, so that when you smack your head into something, you don't split it and your helmet open at the same time. There's no sense packaging it up if it's not going to save you. The other thing is that so people go for looks and the vanity of it over the functionality of it. Having a clear view in front of you. That is probably one of the most and primary safety concerns when picking a helmet. I've seen and tried on some helmets, and I'm not going to name them, that have very small sight windows. Extremely small. Smaller than goggles, about the size of a set of sunglasses when you put them on. And what that does is it requires you to use more mechanical movement of your face in order to consistently keep in a safe environment. So instead of me being able to just look and catch something out of the side of my eye that will enhance my awareness, I have to physically look in order to see it so that I can keep myself safe. Now, keeping your head on a swivel is really important, but it's a skill set. Unless it's kept in check, you're not going to be able to do it very easily. Now, I don't know about everyone else, unless you have a riding buddy that is there telling you you're not doing this, not doing this. There's no one that's going to tell you you're doing anything wrong unless you have someone there that can tell you you're doing something wrong. So there's something to be aware of. These little sight windows that are inside of the helmets, stay away from them. It's better to have a full open face helmet altogether, and I can show you guys one of those right now. You're better off to have something like this where you are going to have full vision around the front of it, and you're going to be able to see what's around you. Then you already have something that has a narrow sight window. You can have a full chin aspect of things. I prefer the chin because it protects you from bugs and deflects you from rocks from other vehicles, which has become a big problem. I got hit by a bumblebee one time through the pads of my shoulders, and I had thick pads on for my riding jacket, and it stung and caused a massive bruise. And I saw it coming. It's a great big bumblebee. So things that don't appear to hurt you are going to hurt you. That's a limiting aspect. This one has a visor on it, so that's kind of nice. But it's also for extra small head, so it's no good for me. It's for anyone who comes with me or wants to ride on a motorcycle or dirt bike or wheeler that shows up here at the house. So that's a different aspect of it. The reason why we keep so much junk around is so that you can't see everything I got. And I've got like, just in this one picture alone, there's probably about, I don't know, 15 different helmets. So yeah, a lot going on. I believe in the helmets. I've got some new riding boots. We'll review that in the next video. Hopefully we get to some actual riding. Welcome to the introduction to the channel. Hopefully you guys like it. We're going to do some great stuff, and I'm really excited to use some of this gear and get out there and do things that most people don't do, and hopefully you'll like it.